It's times like these that the church gets to shine. God's people get to set the example, and we as a community of believers get to point to heaven. It's times like these that faith triumphs fear and the devil gets reminded of his place. It's times like these that Jesus uses what the enemy intended for evil to bring forth good. It's times like these that we get the opportunity to set the tone, to change the spiritual climate of a nation. It's times like these that we will see unconventional miracles, mending of broken families, hurting hearts made whole, the restoration in marriages, and the original design for the church to be reestablished. It's times like these that we get to experience and see firsthand that we as the human race are better together. It's times like these that we truly realize no weapon formed against us will prosper. That we get to praise Jesus, not only for what he's done, but for what he's going to do. It's times like these that we get to lean into Jesus and find that he will catch us every single time. It's times like these that renew a passion and refocus perspective. It's times like these that spark an awakening, a turning of hearts back to the Creator. It's times like these that the church gets to shine in an unconventional way, and shine we will. We will not be afraid or back down. We will not propagate fear but demonstrate hope. We will not sit back and allow culture to dictate the narrative. We will choose to care for the least of these and to love our neighbor as ourselves. We will sing all the louder of the goodness of our God. We will pray, fast, and turn from our wicked ways. We will seek his face and he will hear from heaven and heal our land. This will be the greatest awakening this world has ever experienced. And we will see that the gates of hell will not prevail. Love will prevail. Love will bind us together. And love will win the day.
Hi, I'm Rachel. When I went to Honduras this summer, I really wanted to do something for Speed the Light and raise money. So at camp, Steve placed the idea in all of us that we could do 1 in 1,000 fundraisers. And I decided to do 1,000 stunts with my cheer team because all I do is cheer. So with that, I picked a Saturday in October, got open doors and allowed me to get all these cheerleaders there, and we did 1,000 stunts that day and raised over $1,200. And the money kept coming in afterwards, and it was just a really good God-filled day.
Raised Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
I will answer you. I will fight for you. I hear you say, because you love me, I will rescue you, deliver you. I hear you say, because you call me, I will answer you. I will fight for you. I hear you say, although 1,000 may fall, 10,000 more, I stand secure. I hear you say, no harm will come to your life. I will satisfy, watch salvation rise. I find refuge in your love. You're my fortress, my God in whom I trust. I take shelter in your name. Amazing grace, my hiding place. Amazing grace, my hiding place. I hear you say, because you love me, I will rescue you, I'll deliver you. I hear you say, because you know my name, El Shaddai is near, Elohim is here.
What's up, CSM fam? So glad that you were able to join us tonight on our SNL on CSM live here. We're back here live on Instagram, and super excited. We haven't been able to be live on Instagram since, like, I don't know, 8 weeks ago, it feels like. So we have an awesome team that have been able to figure out how to do it so it looks good. And then if you're watching on YouTube, what's up, YouTube fam? I can see your comments and everything right over here on the TV screen. So give a shout out if you can hear me. I know that we got people talking about camp, so you need to sign up if you're ready. Even if you're not ready to sign up for camp, just go sign up anyway. All right, you need to be ready. It's going to be great. So go sign up for camp. The link tree in our bio on our Instagram page. It's the best way to find it. Then we got people talking about going camping in an RV, so that's pretty awesome. But anyhow, yeah, worship was fire. We have a really awesome CSM worship team who, by the way, speaking of camp, will be doing worship for the week of camp that we're taking students for. So that's going to be really, really awesome. And yeah, so anyhow, I'm super excited about tonight. We're in week 2 of our Lyrics and Lies series, and we're just trying to expose the lies that sometimes get laced within the lyrics that we listen to the most. And just a reminder, this series is not about trying to tell you what you can and what you can't listen to, right? It's not about that. What this series is completely about is helping you figure out how to discern what you should and what you shouldn't be listening to, the lyrics that you listen to, and how you should, let those come into your mind and what you think about those things. So tonight we're talking about a new lie. We're talking about the lie that we're talking about tonight is the lie that the best life is the party life. Now, I know that some of you probably, as soon as you heard me said that, are completely like, bro, I don't want to hear this. This is like the stereotypical youth pastor message on the stereotypical don't party talk. And that's not what this is about. Like, there's more to it than that tonight, okay? Some of you might be thinking, like, I don't even party. You might be thinking, I'm in middle school, so the only parties that I go to look like a bowling alley or a skating rink or Sky Zone. And I'm not going to lie, I would go to parties at a bowling alley or Sky Zone, but I got really bad knees, and so I'm sure my knees would break in half if I went roller skating. So anyhow, but listen, that's great if you don't struggle with the party life. That's fine. That's awesome. But you know what? It's really good to talk about these things ahead of time before you even get to that moment of struggle. Because when you get in the struggle, it's really hard to fix it. So we're going to do tonight what I like to call preventative maintenance for some of you who are like, this doesn't apply to me. I promise you it applies to you, and you're going to want to stay tuned and listen in. All right, so we're going to split this up into two different sections tonight. We're going to talk about two different sub-lies. I know that we have, actually, this is funny because I can see some of you who do work at Sky Zone, and you're like, Sky Zone, that's great. And some of you are like, you just went roller skating on Friday, and you've been missing it so much. Where is the roller skating rink at? Maybe you drop that in the chat so we all know. But anyhow, we're splitting it up into two sub-lies tonight, right? The first one is the lie that you got to be doing the things at the party in order to be fulfilled. And the second thing, the second sub-lie is just that you got to be at the party itself, right? Tonight we're going to look at a book in the Bible that maybe some of you, it's out of the Old Testament, some of you don't even know existed, or some of us that have been following Jesus for a minute, maybe we just skip over when it comes time to read through that reading plan, and it comes time to read through that book of the Bible. But in getting ready for tonight, I found one guy who describes this book of the Bible as one big social experiment, right? One big social experiment. The book that we're going to talk a lot through tonight is the book of Ecclesiastes. But before we do that, tonight, let's go ahead and start with that first little sub-lie that we're talking about tonight. How we have to, in order to be fulfilled, be doing the things at the party. And I just want to kind of read some lyrics to start off this first sub-lie. This first lie that we're talking about is, like, I'm talking about things like, you got to party like a rock star, or lyrics like, it's the freaking weekend, I'm about to have some fun, that's why we go there, sipping on Coke and rum, all right? I'm like, so what? I'm drunk. Like those things, those are the kind of lies that we like over and over and over again. And I know probably some of you are like, I know that song, I know that song, I know that song, right? And maybe you're like, I've sang that song, and it's been like on replay. Here's the thing. We so flippantly let these things come into our mind and go out of our mouth, and we think that there's no consequences whatsoever. But that's why we're talking about what we're talking about. The lyrics that we let our ears hear that come out of our mouth, they mean something. They matter, right? They matter. All right, so those are some of the lies that we sometimes let ourselves be prone to singing or listening to. And while in reality, you might be thinking, this guy's making a bigger deal out of this than what it really is. This is why it's a big deal. Because there's a guy by the name of Solomon, right? There's a guy by the name of Solomon he was the king of Israel. He was the son of the great King David. King David, before he was king, he killed Goliath with some stones, right? That's the guy we're talking about. Solomon is the son of. And he wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, right? He wrote it. So just so you know, Solomon had everything. He was probably one of the most popular dudes of his time. He had everything. He had fame. He had money. He had parties. And he had the ladies, right? I mean, if anyone in the world ever knew anything about partying, it was Solomon. I'm not going to lie. One time, Solomon threw a party for 15,000 people. And not only did he throw a party for 15,000 people, but what he served at that party was 22,000 cows. I know that we have some people on this chat like watching right now that really know cows, right? And I don't know if you have dairy cows or if you have like Angus beef cows, but 22,000 cows he served at this party. And I'm not talking like he served 22,000 steaks. I'm not talking about he served 22,000 filet mignons or 22,000 racks of ribs. I'm talking about the whole cow. He served 22,000 whole cows to the people that were at his party. And by the way, he owned tons of vineyards. And so what that meant for his parties, they were filled with alcohol, right? And also, along with Solomon's, now you're going to need to like hold on to your seat right now because this is incredible. Along with Solomon's 700 wives. Solomon had 700 wives. I don't know how he did it, right? But he had 700 wives. Along with that, not only did he have 700 wives, he had 300 plus concubines. So I'm sure that he probably provided some other kinds of entertainment at his parties too. Listen, Solomon had all of these things, but you know what Solomon lacked? Solomon lacked fulfillment in his life. He had everything he could ever want, dream, or imagine, but what he didn't have was fulfillment. He actually says this in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1. Solomon says, I said to myself, come now, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved meaningless. Then in verse 3, after much thought, he says this, I decided to cheer myself with wine, like from one of the many vineyards that he probably owned. And then he said, and while still seeking wisdom, I clutched at foolishness. In this way, I tried to experience the only happiness most people find during their brief life in this world. Then in verse 4, he says, I also tried to find meaning by building large homes for myself and by planting beautiful vineyards. Right? So essentially he's saying, man, I have the cribs and I have the drinks, right? He has all of it. In verse 8, he says, I collected great sums of silver and gold. I hired many wonderful singers, both men and women. I had many beautiful concubines. Everything a man could desire. But you know what? After he listed all of those things, the first part of chapter 2, we get to verse 11. And in verse 11, he finishes with this thought. It was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind, and there was nothing really worthwhile anywhere. He had all those things, but he didn't have fulfillment. He didn't have happiness. He didn't have joy. He didn't find purpose in those things. He had all of it, but what he described it as was meaningless, like chasing the wind. Have you ever tried to chase the wind? Right, whenever I think about that, the song that was stuck in my head for a portion of the week, and I don't know why, but it was like that song from Pocahontas, right? We're not going to talk about the lyrics of the song from Pocahontas, but have you ever seen The Colors of the Wind? Maybe that's what it is. But anyhow, that's the song that, like, you can't chase the wind. You can't really even see the wind. You can see the effects of it, but you can never really grasp it, right? That's what Solomon's saying. Like, if you are pursuing these things in order to find fulfillment, man, it's going to be just as equal to chasing the wind. You're never going to catch it, but you're always going to try to find more of it. It's never going to fulfill you. You're never going to be able to grasp it. You know, the sad thing is that thousands of years later, we're here in song form repeating anthem after anthem after anthem. And each one is attempting to get us to believe what dating back thousands of years ago, from Solomon to modern day people, not even Christ followers, try to warn us about. The things the party has to offer is not the best life for us. We let lyrics come out of our mouths almost on repeat. Like, we let these things come out of our mouths almost on repeat. Things that say things like, so what if I'm drunk? Can you find me in the club? You can find me in the club with a glass of bub. For all you TikTokers out there, some of the stuff that you're willing to put to a video, like, you just got me like, okay. Not quite sure I understand. Do they understand what this person's saying? And you probably sitting there like, come on, Pastor Josh. Come on, like, you don't understand. It's just for fun. Like, I don't even really pay attention to the words. Come on, be real though. Be real. You're saying you don't pay attention to the words, but you're doing all the movements to every single syllable that's on the song. Don't tell me you're not paying attention to the words. See, I remember when we were meeting together. It seems like such a distant memory at this point. But remember when we would meet together, we'd be in the youth auditorium and we'd do some announcements, right? And whoever would be at the front of the room, they'd say something important that was important for you to remember, a date, a time, an event. And what would happen, especially like a lot of times if it was super important, what would happen is that person would say, all right, repeat after me, right? And here's the reason why. It's not because while your voices are all beautiful and we wanted to hear them all at the same time in unison, that really wasn't the reason. The reason was this. Because there's something about when you repeat something verbally, you hear it through your ears and you say it with your mouth, helps you retain that information. Now, people way smarter than me have figured this out. This is not groundbreaking things that I'm telling you right now. Right? People way smarter than I have figured this out. They've studied it. They've proved it to be true. Now, I'm just going to let you connect those dots while I make this statement. I say this, that if I'm going to let anything be an anthem that goes into my ears, through the parts of my brain that sends the commands to my mouth to open up, then sends the command to my vocal cords to start making sounds, and then a command to my tongue to start articulating words. If I am going to let any noise come out of my mouth, I want it to be words, anthems, and lyrics that help me understand that there's more to life than fleeting pleasures. There's more to life than just momentary gratification. There's more to life than any one of those things. There's more to life than that. If I'm going to let anything come out of my mouth, it's going to be things that communicate that. Now let's move on. I don't want to be long tonight. Let's move on to sub little lie number 2. Sub little lie number 2, the party itself, right? Now, at a party, you would go to a party and most likely, or a gathering, we don't have to be like, the party. But like you would go to a gathering and most likely you'll be surrounded by people. But see, the fact of the matter is people won't fulfill you either. But if you listen to some music, you listen to a lot of music, you kind of can catch a theme in a lot of songs, especially more modern songs that are out right now. Here are the two things that I think that you can catch in a lot of music that you listen to. Is that one, being surrounded by people brings happiness, joy, and fulfillment. And number 2, when you're not around people, when you're alone, when being alone, you, for whatever reason, you've got to be sad or depressed. See, the truth is that being in rooms filled with people, that doesn't give you fulfillment. You can be in a room so full with people, it's hard to move, but you can still feel the loneliest in a room. You can be the center of attention at every single gathering or every single party, but when you leave that moment, you don't feel fulfilled or wanted. Ask Solomon. We already referenced the scripture where he talks about he bought all the best slaves, all the best singers he brought into his house. He got all of the concubines that you could possibly imagine. But the fact of the matter is this, that in almost every paragraph, it ends with a statement like this: it was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind. This dude had everything. He had all of the people he could possibly want or imagine in his presence a lot of the time. And he still felt empty inside. He still felt like it was all meaningless, that it was like chasing the wind. But if you don't believe Solomon, because I know some of you might be listening to this and you're like, well, you know what, that happened thousands of years ago. It still can't be true today. All right, well, if you don't believe Solomon, let's talk about some more people that kind of live that rock star lifestyle. Maybe they're not even connected with music directly, but some of these people say things like this. How many of you know who Brad Pitt is, right? Some of you have watched movies that he's in. Maybe you follow him on Instagram or Twitter. He's a popular celebrity, a great actor. He says this, though. He says, I'm telling you, once you get everything, then you're just left with yourself. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It doesn't help you sleep any better, and you don't wake up any better because of it. How many of you know Tom Brady, right? All you Colts fans are like, oh, Tom Brady, and the Patriots. Well, guys, he's not on the Patriots anymore. He's Buccaneer, so, and he's old, probably no good anymore anyway. Anyhow, Tom Brady said this. He said in an interview with 60 Minutes, he says this, there's got to be something more. This isn't it. This isn't where life is found. There's got to be something else. Tom Brady, the guy who's won so many Super Bowls, so many MVPs, one of the most successful quarterbacks in the entire history of the NFL, says that there's got to be something more. How about Jim Carrey? We know, funny guy, kind of weird, a little edgy. But Jim Carrey, who's rich, he's successful, a successful actor. He says, I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so that they can see that it's not the answer. See, these people have it all. These people want for nothing. These guys, they go out and they could just say, I want this, and they could have it in a moment. But you know what they don't have? They don't have fulfillment. They don't have happiness. They don't have joy. They may have happiness for a moment, but what they're missing is that joy that lasts beyond the moment. I don't know if you've ever heard of this exclusive club called the 27 Club. It's a pretty exclusive thing. Like, not many people get in it, but they do get in it if they're really popular and famous. See, the 27 Club is a club of artists, rappers, rock stars that all die by the age of 27. And these were artists that had all the parties. They were surrounded by all the people. They had all of the things that they could want, dream, or imagine. But what they didn't have was fulfillment, because they felt so unfulfilled with their life that many of them drank themselves to death. They overdosed, or they took their own life in some other fashion. You see, what they've missed, what the 27 Club has missed, what these guys that I just named up here miss, what Solomon was missing, and what the enemy doesn't want you and I to get, is that it's not about the people that you fill your life and your time with that will fulfill you. It's really about the person you choose to fill your heart with. He will fulfill you. There's a verse in John chapter 10. It's actually really important to Crossroads Church around here. If you're from Crossroads Church, this is your church. You understand. You know exactly where I'm going with this. But in verse 10, it says this. And Jesus is actually telling us why he came to the earth, right? He says this, the thief's purpose, which is so amazing. I just want to stop right there. The thief's purpose is so good, because another name for the thief, we know the thief in this that he's referencing, Jesus is referencing, is the devil. Like, he's our enemy, right? And what's another name for the thief, the devil, that we can find in the Bible? The father of lies, right? The devil is the father of lies. Anyhow, Jesus goes on to say, the thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. But my purpose is to give a rich and satisfying life. You know, in other translations, it says something along the lines of it, he came to give a life to be lived to the fullest. If you want to find fulfillment, you won't find it in the crowds or in what the crowd is even doing. If you want fulfillment, the only thing that you'll find fulfillment in is the one who can change the hearts and the lives of the people that are in those crowds. If you want fulfillment, the only way you're going to find fulfillment is through Jesus. So why does that matter now? Because I know that at the beginning of this, we're closing up here in just a minute, but at the beginning of this, I said that this is going to be more than just like your regular party message. I think that it's timely for us in the season that we're in, the season that you're in, Because so many of us have bought into this lie that in order to feel fulfillment, we've got to surround ourselves with people. So why does it matter now? Well, because the stuff that you listen to matters. And we've been living a pretty separated life. You've not been able to spend as much time with the people that you prefer to spend time with, probably. For some of you, that's probably been a relief, like just being at home alone, chilling out by yourself. But for some of you, you have gotten to a point in your life where you need the party. You need the boys. You need the girls. You need your crew in order to feel fulfilled. The problem is that when you aren't surrounded by those people because you've bought into the lies that the enemy's trying to feed you, when you aren't surrounded by those people, you feel down. You feel depressed. You feel defeated. You see, some of us in those moments, we get confused about a loneliness and aloneness. We get confused. We get those things confused. Aloneness and loneliness. And when we get so bent out of shape, when we get so frustrated that we can't be around the people that we want to be around, and we feel lonely, we end up missing the opportunity to be alone with Jesus. What if Jesus is just trying to give you an opportunity to be alone with him in this season? And as we kind of wrap up this season, because things are changing, all right? Here this week, you're going to be able to see a video where we're laying out what it looks like for CSM in the future, all right? But what if in this moment, you're like, okay, God, even in the last few weeks or so that I might have in this current situation, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to capitalize on the aloneness that you've provided me and spend extra time with you. We've been doing reading plans at CSM and we're doing a great job. You guys are diving in. But what if we dove in a little bit further? What if those of you who haven't taken the plunge, take the plunge and get closer with Jesus? And what if this was just setting us up for what God wants to do when we come back together? And we're able to be in one room together, hang out with our fams. What if it's just setting us up for what God wants to do at CSM in the lives and the hearts of us and how it's going to impact others? Listen, I know that some of you are struggling with some of this stuff. I want to leave you this verse. It comes out of Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. It says, "Then Jesus said, 'Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest.'" Some of us, we take the party life and the things that happen at the party to mask some things that we just don't want to deal with. Maybe we're frustrated with. Maybe we're hurting from. We take those things and we use it to mask some of the hurts. We use it to mask some of the burdens that we have. Tonight, Jesus wants to take that stuff. He wants to give you rest. Tonight, you might be looking for rest, fulfillment, whatever it is. You won't get it by taking the advice of people like Post Malone, Drake, Billie Eilish, Curtis Roach, because he's bored and in the house bored. Wiz Khalifa or any of those guys. All you need is Jesus. All you need is Jesus. He wants to give you rest. But even more than that, he wants to give you life and life to the fullest. Because the life that he gives is the most fulfilling of lives to live. Tonight you might be listening, you're like, all this is great. But here's the thing, I'm not living for Jesus right now the way it is. And maybe you're like, if I resonate with all of the things that he's talking about tonight, I fill my life with the parties, with the things at the parties. They don't even have to be at the party, and I'm doing it. All of these things he's talking about, I'm resonating with, and I still don't find fulfillment or purpose in life. Here's the thing. I want you to know Jesus wants to give you that fulfilling life. Jesus wants you to just say, all right, I'm giving you a chance. What if tonight you chose to give Jesus the chance? The chance to take your life, the broken pieces, the unfulfilledness, to take it and to make it whole. What if you gave him that chance tonight? If you're listening, you're like, bruh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the chance. That's what I want you to do. You don't have to drop anything in the chat. You don't have to do anything like that. This is all I'm going to ask you to do. I don't know who you're watching with or if you're watching with anybody at all. But would you just repeat this prayer after me? We're just going to pray. It's not going to be long. I don't like to do these long prayers like this. I don't like to do that. I just want to be real short, but I want it to be from the heart. Essentially, you're just saying, Jesus, I'm giving you the shot tonight to fulfill my life, and I want to live for you. So why don't you repeat after me? Dear Jesus, I thank you so much for giving your life for me. God, I ask that you would just take my life, fulfill it. I want to live for you the rest of my days. I'm giving you the shot. You can do more with my life than what I have ever done before and what I could ever imagine hereafter. In Jesus' name, amen. And if you prayed that prayer, I'm telling you what, there's a party going on in heaven. There's a real awesome party going on in heaven right now, all because you made that commitment tonight. You let us know. You can DM us. You can message us. Whatever, however you want to let us know. We'd love for you to let us know because we want to be able to walk alongside of you and help you live that life. Because, everybody needs help. Everybody needs somebody to walk alongside of them. To come alongside when things get tough. Just to help keep us going. Listen, for the rest of us tonight, some of us, maybe we do need to reevaluate some of the things that we're letting into our ears, the messages that we're letting into our ears that we then let go through out from our mouths. We might not think it's a big deal, but it truly, really is a big deal. I don't know what that looks like. Once again, this is not about telling you what you have to and what you shouldn't, or what you can and what you can't listen to. But all this is us giving you reasons and the ability to discern what you allow yourself to listen to. So, that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for hanging out. I want to make sure that everybody knows, come hang out back with us next week. We have some special guests coming to give you week 3 of Lyrics and Lies. Ashley and I's good friends, Anna and Andrew McGuire. They'll be doing the message next Sunday night. If you haven't signed up for camp, your deposits are due by June 1st. So make sure that you hop over to our link tree in our bio, sign up for camp, $55 deposit due by June 1st. If you miss that date, then camp will cost $40 more. And we don't want that for anybody. You don't want it for yourself. Tomorrow night on our 9 at 9, we have a really awesome guest. So those of you who are at Youth Convention, you might remember Eric Hoffman. He's the National Speed the Light Director. He's going to be a guest with us on our 9 at 9 tomorrow night. So you want to make sure that you hop on that. And don't forget, after we get done, to head over to your fam Zoom call. That will start in about 12 minutes. All right. Hey, listen, we love you guys. Ashley and I miss you so much. We can't wait to see you here maybe soon. Love you.